I am continuing from my previous Love Month vlog, and while I'm talking about my first vlog, I found it to be very disorganized. I just kind of was talking. So what I've done is I took all the main points that I brought up and wrote them down, and I'm looking at them, and I can see that within my talking about this addiction to delusions of grandeur and this feeling of how special I could be, how special I could be, indicating how special I already am. It's just not. I just haven't. I just haven't like done it yet, but like how special I could be because of how superior I am. My inherent worth being just of my divine destiny is to become better, to become the ruler of everybody else, kind of a thing. And that feeling of excitement and uh, stuff, excitement and positive, enjoyable feelings. While I'm talking about that, I'm kind of also playing along with it as if because I wanted that, that very want on its own makes it that very want on its own indicates that I really am of a superior, uh, fundamental, my very soul, the building blocks of my very existence are made up of better quality stuff than everybody else. And that whole ideal is highly suspect. So, so that's kind of something I see that I'm doing in that previous vlog, which in my first take of this vlog, I was also doing, kind of bullshitting myself with that addictive feeling, which, as I also indicated earlier, that addictive feeling of superiority um, is based in family, is based in uh, being punished. Okay, but the primary point that I brought up in my previous vlog that I'm going to continue with in this vlog is the split I talked about that slowly developed in me throughout my early childhood, but that became extremely prominent, influential, and a critical component of my socialization at age 8. So this split, where externally I present myself to be very tough, very masculine. Um, I don't give a shit what anyone else thinks about me, and then internally being very concerned with what other people think about me, and very afraid that people are going to find out that everything that I am is a lie. So, and then within that overall dynamic, uh, beauty and uh, love, relationships being a fundamental component, a fundamental aspect of that that machination, that functionality of myself. So I'm looking now at my third grade experience, and the next point I that comes up is me remembering an experience I had in my third grade class, third grade, 8 years old, where I'm sitting in my little desk, and the teacher is up at the chalkboard or the whiteboard or the, up at the front of the classroom, and all the other little kid students are around me in their little desks. And the teacher is talking about something, and she brings up um, love, kissing, mushy gushy kind of stuff, and I draw all of the attention to me and like literally shout out that I think that's disgusting, that's gross, ew, nasty. Oh, I didn't know the word nasty at that age, but basically, but drawing all the attention to me, which I felt required to do because just a year earlier, my guy friends, my buddies, were all like on my side with girls have cooties, girls are gross, we don't like girls. But then all the adults telling us, oh yeah, but you're going to. And but because I had like all of these allies in resisting that, I was more comfortable within it. I didn't stick out as much, so I didn't notice that there was this problem in me, which was the motivation for my resistance, which was this like actual, this like extreme discomfort and fear that I experienced towards the idea of like, romantic, mushy gushy relationships. But by this time in third grade, all of my buddies had changed their minds, and like that, they went from being like, oh, girls are gross to deciding that it was cooler and more effective in the society to be aggressively pro girl and in pursuit of girls, which is like blew my fucking mind. And that was when this experience in myself started to actually become a problem. I started to notice that it was a problem because I was the only one who didn't make that shift. I didn't make that shift until I was 13. So I'm like the only one now who experiences this fear and this extreme discomfort about romance, mushy gushy, specifically also kissing, because that's what I saw in the that stuck in my mouth, the Disney movies when I was a kid. Um, Kissing, so specifically that, and yeah, also and most prominently, the word love brought up extreme discomfort in me, extreme like a shame and a fear, and that was why, even though all of my friends had switched over, I just couldn't I couldn't make that shift without because the fear and the discomfort and like that sense of shame was so overwhelming that I would just feel I just couldn't bring myself to um, do what my friends had done. And so my resistance became all the more extroverted and all the more like, everybody look at me. I do not like this stuff at all. I resist this stuff. I don't want it anywhere near me. And to the point where I would derail the entire class just so that everyone would see that I don't like this stuff at all. But actually, I was like kind of curious, but I was just so afraid that others would see that I had anything to do with this like desire for that kind of experience. And it wasn't even really that much of a desire at that age. It was just kind of like more a curiosity and a predilection from the perspective that everybody wants beautiful girls, so they must be really there must be something special about them, but not so much like an overwhelming. But yeah, the precursor for that overwhelming kind of experience definitely was being set up there. So anyway, we got slightly digressed there. I'm derailing the whole class in my little desk, and my teacher, for reasons that I don't understand, not that I'm blaming her, although I did at the time, but anyway, she played along with my like just ridiculous expression and would like poke fun at me in front of the whole class and about my resistance to romance and the word love. And she nicknamed me Lovey and would call me that in front of the other students and put me into more experiences of discomfort and fear, which then I suppressed by trying to um, fool everyone else. And it's really interesting that I worked so hard to protect myself from other people judging me without ever noticing that I had the ability to not allow it. I mean, even if other people saw that, yeah, hey, I kind of am interested in kissing, um, and people were like, oh, well, that makes you weak, and that makes you a bad person, or I mean, even what are they even going to say, really? But never noticing that I had the ability to not let those judgments um, destroy me as a human being as much as I felt like they were going to. And then also not noticing that I'm actually judging myself within that, like accepting that as myself. So my development was rather stunted in that way that I didn't that I isolated myself like that. So I'll get to what that I'll go more into my stunted socialization a little bit later, but I've talked more in detail about this the way that this split in my personality looked, and I have one more memory to describe this, which is very just excellent uh, description of what this looks like. And in my next vlog, I will go in more into detail about how it functions as a delusion, as believing that I'm tricking everyone else and misleading them when actually I'm misleading myself, and but not realizing that. Okay, so to finish off this vlog, um, back to my third grade classroom. There was that relationship that was developed between me and that teacher who